You're listening to the Travis Makes Money podcast presented by GoHighLevel.com. For a free 30-day trial of the best all-in-one digital marketing software tool on the planet, just go to GoHighLevel.com/Travis. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Travis Makes Money podcast, where it's our mission to help you make more money. Today on the show, we're going to be talking a little bit about real estate, flipping, investing, raising money, and a little bit about flooring and home services with my good friend, Cody Sperber. What's up, dude? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
For like the fourth time or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Hey, it's great to be back.
Dude, I am excited for this new venture that you've been working on, Floor Daddy. But what's super interesting, what I really want to dive into kind of with you from a philosophical perspective before we dump into some practical stuff, is you kind of went the opposite direction. And in a world where everybody's being told that they have to build a personal brand and have to do stuff online and have to put their face out there and have to create content, you actually kind of took a step away from that, offloaded that business, kind of this whole personal branding that you've been building for a decade, really since I was aware of you, back when I saw you on a webinar with like Josh Altman or something like that in like 2016, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
And then kind of following your stuff all along the way. And then we finally were able to meet and hang out a few times. And then you got rid of that business to go into a home services kind of like boring, unsexy business of flooring. What was the purpose for that? What was the reason behind that?
Yeah. First off, creating my personal brand was one of the best moves I ever made, right? So highly recommend it to anybody listening. Like, create lots of content about the things you're passionate about, show your personality, all that good stuff. I'm just at a stage right now, like starting and scaling a business is very hard, right? And so it takes a lot of obsession, a lot of focus, drive, and just discipline. And so I am creating content still. I just shifted the type of content I'm creating to what I'm passionate about, and I'm not really talking about anything else. So Floor Daddy, what a great name, right?
That is honestly a great name.
I'm a branding guy,
and the commercials are great too.
Yeah, thank you. You know, like people know me as a marketing guy in the real estate space, right? And with Clever Investor, I was so passionate about real estate because it changed my life. You know, I started with nothing. I'm self-made, which I'm the first millionaire and multi-millionaire in my family. I retired my parents in my second year in the business, and I haven't looked back. I've done thousands of transactions, worked my way up from little tiny houses to, luxury, building luxury spec houses here in Arizona, 25 at a time, just doing really big, cool stuff in the residential space. And eventually I kind of mastered that space, and I got into, syndicating and buying apartment buildings, and did that for a little while. And right now we have about $170 million worth of commercial development projects going.
Wow.
Mainly land entitlement type of deals. We do have a division that's focused on affordable housing because we really need that right now.
Absolutely.
But I talked about that stuff, and I was so into real estate because it changed everything for me. And I started the education business about 10 years into my real estate journey, just because I couldn't shut up about it. Mm-hmm. And people were coming to me saying, how do you do what you do? And next thing you know, this little side hustle, teach people business became Clever Investor. And as I was building Clever Investor and doing my real estate at the same time, I started building my personal brand. And it almost became such a strong part of my identity that when I almost felt like I was trapped in like this box where everybody's like, oh, it's the real estate guy. It's the real estate. I'm like, no, I'm so much more than the real estate guy. If they knew how many other businesses I own and all the other things I do with marketing and culture building and just systems and all that, like, I'm one of those lucky guys that both my sides of my brain fire. So
it's very rare.
It's high IQ, EQ, all of it. I could put things together. I could build the systems and get really nitty gritty with the SOPs and the details. And I can also go really big on the like grand vision.
This is where we're going. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but I knew my heart was in something else, and I knew there was something bigger out there for me, because real estate and real estate education is very narrow. It's localized and narrow. And that always drove me nuts as a marketer. My brands and companies on the real estate education side have done over $155 million in online sales. So I had to teach myself marketing and running ads and all that stuff. but not everybody's my customer. And I'm talking to Josh Snow, who owns Snow Oral Care.
Mm-hmm.
He went viral for all the teeth whitening ads and stuff. And he happens to be local here and one of my wealthiest, most successul friends. And I said, why did you start Snow Oral Care? And he said, because everybody's got teeth.
Everybody's got teeth.
And I'm like, man, I want to be in a business where everybody's my customer. Man, I would clean up.
Yeah.
And I had an opportunity to actually sell Clever Investor to a group out of Utah. And it was in that period after I was transitioning out of that. And it was like, man, my identity's kind of gone for a minute. It kind of felt good and scary at the same time. And I was still supporting the company that bought Clever. But I was like, this has been on my heart for so long. I want to get into home services. We've been part of masterminds together.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those people that were cutting big 100K checks, they were roofing businesses, solar businesses, pest control businesses. And so when I kind of looked at the home services space, I said, what's a lane that everybody's my customer, AI's not going to disrupt it, high ticket, high profit margin that I can quickly, and that's in a boring space that nobody's really done anything cool. People have done some cool stuff in pest control, actually. Some cool stuff in like carpet cleaning and all that other stuff. Like around here we got this business called Coconut.
Okay.
It's just like cool names, cool branding, and all this.
Yeah.
I asked around, name a flooring company that made an impression on you, and people struggled with that. They were like, maybe Express Flooring, maybe Empire, and then they defaulted to Floor & Decor or Home Depot. But nobody can name really three unless they were like in the business or something. Yeah. And I loved that because it's old, boring. And I just kind of looked at it and I said, I want to create a flooring business where it's like a Cybertruck had sex with like, Airbnb with, like a little bit of tech, something cool, cutting edge.
Yeah.
And then make it really loud and obnoxious. And that's where Floor Daddy was
Slap
born.
A solid brand on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And as soon, it's funny when you're coming up with the name for your business. I literally was with my partners drinking beers at a bar going, we need to come up with a cool name. Let's go to GoDaddy and find a name.
That's hilarious.
And as soon as we said the word GoDaddy, all three of us looked at each other and we're like, that's it.
Floor Daddy.
Floor Daddy. It's sexy, fun, playful.
Yeah. It lends itself like, I like the names where you can picture the ad. Yeah. As soon as you say the name, it's like, okay, yeah. There's something here. Like there's going to be so much that we can play with here. Even with the logo, your guys' logo is great.
Yeah. And so that's really my department, and I've started a lot of businesses and I've only been able to scale to the level that I'm at through great partnerships. I've had partnerships that have failed miserably and they stole money out of my account and I was destroyed by it. And I've had partnerships that were the greatest thing that ever happened, took me to higher heights than I ever thought I could go on my own.
It's like a marriage.
Well, it's like, teamwork does make the dream work when it's the right partners. And so I knew I wanted to be I knew one of my first person that I wanted to partner. I knew very clearly I wanted to partner with them. They were one of my best friends. He was in the mortgage space at the time. Mortgages weren't doing really well. And he was looking for a path out. And I had done some business with him in the past. I really like his personality. And I said, dude, you would be, and his dad was a general contractor. I said, you would be a really great flooring contractor. And let's own a flooring business together. So I pitched him on it. He's like, I love it. That sounds great. I'll go get my flooring contractor license and go down the flooring rabbit hole. Will you teach me how to be a CEO to run a flooring business? I said, absolutely. I'll do all the marketing. You be the CEO, but we need a tech guy. We need an integrator. We need somebody that's going to clean up because I'm going to make it rain the leads. Like I know my marketing abilities. And so I called up my friend Jonathan, who is used to be a computer programmer, very smart tech guy. He got into the cannabis space, scaled a cannabis brand, but mainly on the manufacturing side.
Okay.
So he was more like CBD, and he took cannabis and powderized it. And he had a company called Sprinkles.
Okay.
And he was scaling that business. And I said, dude, do you want to come over here and partner with us? He's been following me on social for years and years and years. And he said, let me meet Freeman, the other partner, and let's see if we connect. And it was at that connection meeting where we came up with the name Floor Daddy. And so Floor Daddy was born, and we were starting it. Everything was good. I kind of had my pieces, but I was missing a financial piece. I needed like a CFO type of character. And that's when I brought in my other best friend, Bryant. And I said, hey, dude, you're phenomenal at the books and accounting and being like a CFO type of guy, at least for now, until we get really big, and put the squad together. And we were off to the races.
How long ago was that?
15 months ago when we started. We didn't take on a single customer for about 3 months. Very first move I made once I assembled the partnership team and got the LLC and the domain name, I was like, I'm going to be the CMO. You be the CFO, you be the CTO, you be the CEO. All right, now we need some good quality team members. And the one good thing I had this go around is I had a lot of capital.
Yeah.
That helped because I immediately went and recruited the CMO from one of my largest competitors in town and got a hold of them. And this is a great tip for anybody just looking. Like, LinkedIn is a fantastic thing. Your personal brand, your network, your social reach, put it out there. I'm looking to get in touch with people that are in the flooring space, that are the CMO, the CEO, the CTO, like high level people. And people started feeding me names. Well, I happen to know the CMO of one of my largest competitors. I just forgot about him. I hadn't seen him in years.
Yeah.
And I reached out to him and I said, how much you make?
Yeah.
You want to come work for me? I'll pay you a lot more than what you're making there, plus take you on a ride of your life and give you a lot more power and opportunity. And he quit his job that day, came and worked for me.
Wow.
And we were able to get a lot of knowledge and assets very quickly up off the ground by having that piece. We got the website built in warp speed. And then I did something that I think everybody will really appreciate. I don't know anything about flooring. None of us did. I needed a coach. Right? I needed a coach. So I started reaching out to people in other states that were never going to come to Arizona, were not my competitors. And I found some large, and I knew what model we wanted to do. Our model was going to be a little bit more cutting edge. I wanted to bring our store to your door.
Okay.
So they didn't have to go to a showroom, right? Because everything comes to your door.
Just remove friction.
Well, yeah. It's like nowadays people are like, they click a button, food shows up, groceries show up. Well, why not your flooring?
Yep.
Right. And there was two companies, Express and Empire, both do that model. And so it had already been proven. I'm not inventing anything new. I just wanted to make it cooler and better.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add AI into it. I wanted to be in somebody's house and be able to take a picture of something and then integrate any flooring into their space and show them visually what their space was going to look like. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I found a company in North Carolina that was doing about $3 million a month. And I reached out to the CEO and I said, I know this is the craziest thing you're ever going to hear, but I'm never going to be your competitor. I actually might buy you out someday. But I'm the founder of this startup called Floor Daddy, and I want to hire you as a coach to be my personal coach and to come in. And he said, well, how much are you going to pay me? And I said, I'll pay you 20, 25 grand a month just to have a couple hour conversation with us to make sure we're not going in the wrong direction. Yeah. And that's how we got started. It was just a couple power moves to make sure, because I wanted to collapse time.
Yeah.
I didn't want to I'd rather pay somebody 25 grand than make $150,000 mistake and then have to backtrack 90 days or 4 months.
That's a tool that every extraordinarily successful person that I've ever talked to has used. Yet it's one that you can't convince a normal person to think about. It's which is totally crazy to me because it's completely normal to go drop 200 grand on a college education. And then once you leave college, it's the thought of dropping 200 grand for a mentor that can help you save millions of dollars and maybe even a decade of time.
Yeah.
That thought is like, oh, well, that's a scam. You know what I mean?
I just don't value money the way other people do. I don't look at it like money. I think of it like speed units. Like money loves speed. I want to go fast.
Yeah.
I want my whole vision with Floor Daddy is how do I scale this thing and get a $500 million exit?
Yeah.
Like I want to take over the entire Southwest, maybe even, the country.
Yeah.
To be the number one flooring brand in the country and then sell it to some big private equity firm.
Right. Well, it's a different vision.
Yeah.
And it's wildly different from your first business. Like the stuff that you're talking about for you is at this point just second nature. Like you did all of this within 3 months of start. Before you even took on a single customer, you already have, 6 figures in payroll, several all-star partners, great employees, an amazing mentor before a single customer comes into the door. When you first got started, it wasn't that. It was just, how do I make $1?
Yeah.
How do I go from 0 to 1 on this thing? Because I don't even making $100,000 this year would be awesome. Not even thinking about
if I go back 22 years when I was first starting, dead broke, crappy Nissan pickup truck, trying to get going, I just obsessed over how do I flip a house with little to no money and then get that dialed in and just rinse and repeat it and not pick my head up for 10 years. I didn't want to buy anything special. I didn't want to do anything dumb. I just wanted to rinse and repeat and get embarrassingly wealthy doing one simple thing over and over and over and try my hardest to control myself.
Yeah.
The problem is that was my plan and it went out the window my first year in the business the second I made $1 million.
How so?
I bought every dumb thing under the sun. I spent every dollar I had and got myself into a $500,000 tax hole. Because I was a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
Can I cuss on this?
Yeah,
I was a dumbass.
Yeah.
I went crazy. It's like you win the lottery and you're like, oh, I could get a house now, a car now, take my friends on vacations. But after that, I learned and I immediately pulled back. And for the next 9 years, I lived below my means. I did not pick my head up. I rinsed and repeated for a decade.
Yeah.
And most people don't have that kind of discipline.
Well, also, I think it reframed what you viewed as a lot of money. Most people would think $1 million, man, I'll never have to work again.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't realize that it's not enough. It's not enough money. Everything's more expensive. And you're what we try to tell people on the show is come up with a number. What's your number? How much money do you need to make every month to live the type of life that you want to live? If you don't know what that number is, you need to do the work to figure out what that number is. Once you get that number, probably double it, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be things that you're not going to expect. There's always going to be a temptation to buy this thing or that thing, or it's going to be a medical bill, even if it's not your own personal medical bill. Maybe it's somebody really close to you and you feel like you need to take care of them because you're the only one in your world that's ever been able to make anything above 50 grand a year. So now you're making 150 and everybody's looking to you as well, you're the guy. So help us out, and you want to help out. You want to be generous, but you're well, I'm still kind of drowning myself here because I thought 120 was going to be great.
No.
But now it's not. So what do I do from here? How do I?
Here's what I've experienced. Big wins, I've done real estate deals where I made $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. I've had events where I made $8.5 to $9 million in a 3-day weekend, just throwing in an event and selling out a mastermind. I've always spent the big checks, the big money. There's always something to invest in, always something to pay off, always somebody to loan money to or do something. I'm never just sitting on mountains of cash. It's the cash flow that sets you free. It's not the big chunks because the big chunks is I'm going to go start a new business. I'm going to invest in this thing or whatever. It's can I put it in the right vehicles where now the money's making money? And for me personally, the second I crossed over $100,000 a month in just residual cash flow is when my life just went. Because spending $100,000 a month is great. If you knew every month at the first of the month, another $100,000 is going to come in, another 100 forever.
Yeah.
You stop buying stuff after a certain period of time,
right?
And your bank account is constantly going up, and it is real freedom where you pretty much could do whatever you want. When I was making $50,000 a month consistently, I didn't feel that relaxing feeling. The second I crossed over $100,000, it was okay, now I'm starting to experience what more wealthy people feel.
Was that through single family rentals or?
My first experience in that was just my real estate portfolio, spitting out cash and building that up over a 15-year period. It takes a really long time.
Yeah.
Then selling a business, that really added to it. So now I'm making a couple $100,000 a month in residual income. And it's wow, this is really great. I can't spend this much money, or I don't want to spend this much money.
Yeah. You have to try to spend that much money.
Yeah. And it's I can only go to Miami so many times and buy watches and stuff before you're kind of okay, it kind of grosses you out almost. You feel like there's a lot of other things that I could be doing that's really great with this money than spending it on myself. Which is probably a whole nother conversation about making your money matter and not being doofus with your money.
Right.
For me, I get miserable when I'm not building and doing something. I'm too young. I don't think I'll ever retire.
Yeah.
After I sat around for I sold a company years ago. And after I sat around for like 3 months, I'm like, I hate everything. I want to go do something. Like, this is so lame. I can't vacation anymore. I don't want to binge watch TV anymore. I'm bored.
Yeah.
I like to be challenged.
Well, it's just not what we're meant to do, which is another problem with the whole mindset of the whole, the 40-40-40 plan. Work 40 hours a week for 40 years, retire 40% of your income. It's like, that's assuming that you're solving for the right goal, which is to not work.
Yeah.
The goal is not to not work. The goal is to work on what you care about working on.
Yeah.
So the solve then becomes, well, how quickly can I get to work on the things that I really like to work on? And will they pay me money or will they not pay me money? You know what I mean? Like, cause if you're making $100,000 a month doing, the thing that you're really good at, but maybe it's not the thing that you love, well, you can spend your time doing the thing that you really like to do and not give a shit if it makes any money or spits out any profit. It's like, well, I really love cigars. Okay, cool. Go buy a cigar rolling, place in Nicaragua and buy a cigar bar and brag about it to your buddies. But it doesn't have to do anything for you because you're already making the money. But the whole point is that, like, I think we've all been sold this lie that the great goal is to retire and spend the rest of your days sipping pina coladas on the beach. And it's like,
well, I already feel like I'm retired. That's what's great.
That's what I'm saying.
Where I'm at right now, like, I don't really work before 11:30 a.m. every day of the week.
Yeah.
I have my routine that works for me. People kind of know, like, I'll take a phone call or two, but like, I'm ice bathing, I'm in the gym, I'm doing all this stuff. I didn't do any of that shit for 20 years. I had to build the lifestyle that I actually wanted and get that cash flow coming in and have the assets and limit my liabilities. And, side note, since it's a money conversation, nothing has hurt me more than divorce. If you are a man listening to this podcast, pick your partner wisely. That nothing will hurt you worse in every level of your spirit, your finances, your future than the wrong partner. If you have somebody who isn't in alignment with you with money, spirituality, the way you think about just how you live your life, like, and I'll never talk bad about my ex because she is a superb human being and the mother of my children. But I will say we had very differing opinions on money. And that hurt us because she was YOLO, like, F it, let's spend it, let's go. And I was very much live below your means, invest wisely, build, be the one. Nobody in my family ever broke through.
Right.
And all of a sudden I have this great gift. And I'm lucky, and I'm born in America, and I'm born in this place in Arizona where real estate is popping, and I'm at the right place at the right time in history, and I have the right attitude, and I gain these skills, and I become a multi-millionaire. And then you're gonna fucking spend all my money and keep me trapped in a luxury prison forever?
Yeah.
Fuck that, And we fought a lot about money.
Right. Well, it's a big deal, man. Like, another reason to have that we have the show is to normalize the conversation about money, because it's like the things that we think about the most are the things that we're not ever allowed to talk about, like sex, like money, like the things that are always in the back of our heads, especially as dudes. We're not allowed to talk about them, like societally, culturally. It's uncouth. It's not classy to talk about these types of things, but you have to talk about them if you want to gain any sort of control over your ability to manipulate those things. Like, you cannot get more money if you're not willing to be honest about where you are currently, or you're not willing to tell somebody, like, hey, you make a lot of money, I don't make a lot of money. What are you doing that I'm not doing? Just to be willing to have the conversation, but it's so frowned upon.
Yeah.
And then you bring that into the context of a marriage, and it's the same way. And Dave Ramsey says it all the time, where it's like, if you don't purposefully talk about money, then you will be forced to fight about it. It's like it's got to be part of the conversation.
Yeah, and to put a little bow on that is, first, get in alignment about money, and then don't get a divorce. Do everything in your power to fix your marriage, and don't get a divorce. Don't be a fucking idiot and give up. And start doing dumb shit. Entrepreneurs, we're great at hiding our pain and achievement. Especially as men, we take on all this weight and all this pressure, and nothing is worse. And this is what I did. This is my big mistake. Is we kind of divided and conquered in our lives. You go take care of the family. I'm going to go run these businesses. We're kind of separate. But by doing it the way we did it, I put her in her masculine because she was the CEO of the house and I'm the CEO of the business. Well, I'm out here fighting this fucking war.
Yeah.
Business is hard. I'm getting sued. I'm getting screwed over. I'm fighting big personalities on big deals, negotiating $1 million things. Everybody's tough and it's really hard. When I come home, I want to take off my armor.
Yeah.
I want you and your feminine. I want you to mommy me a little bit. I want you to take care of me. I want to be intimate and fuck like we were when we first met. I don't want to come home and you give me a to-do list.
Right.
And make me feel like I'm unsafe here and vice versa. Like you don't want me coming home all charged up, talking about all my problems in business and all that stuff and putting you on the defensive. And so we just royally screwed that up and it friend zoned each other. And we allowed it to go on for too long. We were together 18 years. It probably went on for 10 of the 18 years. Yeah. And you justify your actions because you got kids and you're like, well, we're just together for the kids. That's fucked up. You gotta like really stop everything and step back and say, nothing is more important than my relationship with my creator and then my relationship with my wife. Before your kids, before your friends, before your business partners, the creator is number one, your wife is number two. And if you can get those two things dialed in, everybody else in all your intimacy circles is going to work out. And I lost millions and millions and millions of dollars, not just in the divorce. I lost tens of millions of dollars in my brain for 2 years being in a totally effed up place.
Yeah. Like having basically coming back to the drawing board on who you are as a person, essentially.
It's heavy, man. You got this anchor around your ankle. And it's hard to think. It's hard to build. It's hard to be ambitious and disciplined when your heart is destroyed, And for me, the last piece I'll say about this is it took me getting ran over and my mom dying and a divorce happening before I finally surrendered. And this is the last part if you want to be a truly powerful entrepreneur and make lots of money, because money gravitates towards positive, great energy. It gravitates towards negative energy too. We know a lot of assholes that are rich and that are cutthroat, but that's short term.
Sure.
That's not a long-term game. The real power comes in when a man is planted. His feet are secure. He's in alignment with his words, his thoughts, his actions. He is spiritually connected. He is connected with his family and he's just solid.
Yeah.
But you can never be solid if you're out of alignment with all these things. And so for me, I couldn't get into alignment because I never did the one thing that allowed me to become the best version of me, which is stop all the noise for long enough to go upstream and heal your inner child trauma. It's a thing that makes you a great entrepreneur, and it's also the one thing that holds you back from breaking into the next level. And I share that just because that was my experience. I hit this rock bottom basement moment where I finally surrendered and threw up my hands, and all I heard in that moment of desperation was, go to therapy, dude.
Yeah.
Go heal your shit. Get back in alignment at all costs, and then don't ever get out of alignment again. Get back in health. Get back connected spiritually. Get back to where your ex-wife adores you and thinks you're the greatest ex-husband on planet Earth, and your kids look up to you and share secrets with you, and they can't wait to be around you.
Yeah.
And it's like you can be that powerful person. And guess what? Floor Daddy is winning, and all my other businesses are winning because I'm solid now.
Yeah.
In all the opportunities, people can feel it. I walk into the room, the weather doesn't. Like the room's not changing me. I'm changing the weather in that room. Right. And it took about a year of EMDR, somatic release breath work, really praying every single day, reconnecting spiritually, just spending. And that's why I protect that beginning part of my day very, very, very strongly.
Well, you've turned into the athlete entrepreneur, which I think is not necessarily rare to find. It's difficult to put together because it's easy to compartmentalize and say these parts of my life don't need work right now. The business needs work. So I just need to work on this for 10, 12 hours a day. And then, all these other things start falling by the wayside. But you owe it to yourself to take care of yourself first, or else none of the other things are going to get the full version of you. And you're the jockey. Like, you're the one driving the car. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't take care of you, then eventually, that bill's going to come due. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, that's real leadership. That's real leadership. When I don't have to kick and scream to get my team to do stuff.
Yeah.
I'm leading from the front. I'm the example, and it's changed everything for me. My last few years have been fantastic. I'm a better father than I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
I'm more connected to my ex-wife than I've ever been. It's crazy. It's like, but it took me doing the inner work that I should have done. I wish I would have done it 20 years ago.
Do you think, I've had this conversation with a few people, man. Do you think that you would have still built everything that you built to the degree that you built it had you taken that much time away from it at the beginning?
It's not about taking time away from it. Look, balance is a lie.
Yeah.
Focused presence is anybody can do it. When I'm at work, I'm an animal.
Yeah.
I'm there for war. I'm ready to go to battle. I'm built for this stuff. Let's go. I will work religiously on my skills and capabilities. I will show up every day, the first one in, the last one out, like the whole thing. What I was never good at was compartmentalizing that and keeping work, and home, attacking it with the same obsession. My parenting, same obsession. It's like I wasn't doing a good job with being present in front of and learning my wife's love language and really going deeper and being so present. Look, women want 3 things. That's it. After that, all the other little micro things fall into place. But they want somebody, especially a man, to provide, right? Basics, right? They look at, you could be brand new, have no money to your name, and a woman's going to look at you and they're going to get a read on you of whether or not you have that ambition inside you that you could become something.
Yeah, to provide or have the potential to provide.
Exactly. They want you to be a protector. If they feel like unsafe around you, that's not going to work for the long run, right? And I'm not saying you got to be some big macho alpha guy. It helps, by the way, it helps if you actually take care of your body.
Yeah.
You feel better, you sleep better, you show up more powerful.
100%.
So, 83% of men in America cannot do a fucking pull-up. Unbelievable stat. Yeah, ask ChatGPT. It's sad. First off, pull-ups are hard. They're not easy because they engage grip strength, lots of muscles in your arms and back. And so, yeah, you should be able to do some pull-ups, dude.
Yeah.
Like that just means, your strength and your weight need to be in balance.
Yeah.
You should want that anyway. So focus on your health, focus on putting in the reps.
Yeah.
The last thing women want is that presence. And that I was good at the providing. I was average at the protecting, great at it now. And I was totally horrible at presence.
Yeah.
Because the whole time I'm sitting there with you, I'm thinking about 4,000 things at work.
Mm-hmm.
And I justified it by saying like, we live in a fucking mansion.
Look around.
Look at your cars. Look at this. I was almost bitter and angry person versus like, dude, we did this.
Right.
Like, this is unbelievable. I'm almost mad that we're there. It was so backwards and messed up. And I look back now and I had to lose a lot before I woke up and I was like, I will never show up in a relationship like that ever again.
Yeah.
And it's been a game changer, man.
Well, it's clear that it's completely changed your perspective, even on how you're building your businesses now. Like it seems like, to me anyway, from an outsider's perspective, I would say that you and I are friends, but we're not, we're not texting each other every day or whatever, but like we've been around each other and I've watched you from afar and seen, the different ways you've operated businesses. And it seems like this last year and a half, like you seem to have a different energy about you. One that's much more about the collective win for everybody rather than winning specifically.
Why. Travis, here's why. The number one lesson I learned in therapy was you cannot give what you do not have. I couldn't give you as my friend, as my business partner, as my spouse, as the father, being your dad or whatever. Unconditional love if I didn't unconditionally love myself.
Yeah.
And if you don't put in that work to take care of yourself, you can never give it. And the second, I had this great old lady therapist who said, you can't give what you don't have. And as soon as she said that, it was like a knife went through me. I was just like, of course.
Because your love for yourself was conditional based on your outward success.
But here I am, Cody Sperber, million followers on social media, millions of real estate transactions, the man. But I promise you right now, every person listening to this, your favorite influencer that hasn't put in the work is duct taped together behind the scenes. Yeah. I know most of these people. I speak on the stages. I hang out with them. They're cheating on their wives. They're out of alignment. They're addicted to gambling. They're addicted to porn. They're addicted to all these fucking vices because they're hiding their pain.
Yeah.
But on the front end, they look like they're the man or the woman.
Yep.
But it's not true. And it's I have a friend going through this right now where he's being humbled big time, crashing and burning.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of coaching him through it. And I just said, dude, this is the greatest version of you is on the other side of all this pain.
Yeah.
If you put in the work to work through it.
That's why I started with that personal brand question, man, because it's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. I think it's particularly pernicious because you start to justify your outward appearance because you have so many people looking at what you do. So it gives you this kind of sense that you start buying into your own bullshit a little bit, and it gives you and justifies your behavior. But it also affects the people that are watching you because they assume that you have all those other things together, or else they probably wouldn't be following your stuff. So then you have all these other people that are doing the things that you're telling them to do, but they're not realizing that you're not actually the version of the person that you're saying that you are. So now you're affecting the lives of all these other people because they're trying to emulate or model themselves after what you've done, when in reality the model's broken. It's like, this is the incorrect model. This is not what we should be pursuing. This is actually bad.
Don't you think nowadays people can feel fakeness? Like
you
more and more.
So, man. I mean, yes, but only if, like, I think for you and for me in a lot of ways, I still feel this way, dude. Like I get into rooms all the time where I'm like, I shouldn't be here. I'm always just hanging out with people. Like I am so.
I feel that way too a lot of times.
I'm
to
like
be honest.
1/1000th of the net worth of all the people in this room. Like, why am I even here? But somehow I get invited back, and I always go because I always like hanging out.
Yeah.
But the only reason that I know some of these things is because I've seen the behind the scenes. And and like you said, like you hang out with some of these people and you go, oh, you don't have it all together. And I used to think this one thing, that I'm curious what you think about this. I used to think, that expression, don't ever take advice from anybody you wouldn't be willing to trade places with.
Of course.
And I would always say, like, well, but it's only in the area that you want to trade places with them in. But I'm not so sure about that anymore. I think I've changed my mind about that because it's really difficult to parse. Like, we are holistic beings. You can't just look at Tiger Woods and be like, well, I want to be a golfer like Tiger Woods. Well, it's like, okay, but the trade-off is that you have to do everything else that Tiger Woods did to get to where Tiger Woods was. And the thing is that he neglected everything in his life for the pursuit of one thing, to be the best golfer who ever lived. And he arguably achieved that thing. But unless you also want all the other crashing and burning of his personal life, then maybe that shouldn't be the goal that you're shooting after. Maybe it's actually the person who's 250th on the list of top golfers that you don't even know about because you never heard their name because they're not talked about in the news at all, but they get to play golf for a living. They make a couple $1,000,000 a year. They have a great family life. They love their kids. And they're like, maybe that's the person that you should be looking at and be like, what is that person? Like, how did they live their lives? What are the habits that they enact? Because it's not as simple as that. Like, if you take like what this person's telling you to do, you also have to consider the other effects that has in the other areas of their life and ask yourself the question, do I want those things too?
Yeah.
It's a package.
Yeah.
You can't just take one piece of it, I think. That's kind of where I'm
What's
landing.
What's the little Instagram thing? Vision gets bigger, circle gets smaller. I don't fuck with anybody anymore.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust a lot of people because I've seen so many people fake it so well.
They did a great job.
That you're like
mutual friends of ours.
Yeah, constantly like, I'm like, getting a call like, did you see so-and-so got arrested?
Right.
So-and-so's in the paper. And I'm just like, I'm not doing deals with anybody anymore. Like I have my small group of friends and that is it.
Right.
But it's kind of sad that it's gotten to that. Social media is probably to blame for a lot of the optics.
I think it's like that's why I start with the personal branding question, because I think too many, and myself included for a long time, I was so concerned with building a personal brand that I wasn't as concerned with building the actual thing behind the personal brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I kind of get exhausted with the whole like build a personal brand. It's like, well, some people shouldn't be building a personal brand because they have nothing to build a personal brand on yet. They should just be building something first. And then the brand will kind of come along with that if you just kind of share some of the things that you're learning along the way. But if you're so focused on building a personal brand, that's when you have, this whole like people start conflating your followers with your expertise.
Yeah.
It's like, well, those aren't the same thing.
Well, you look like a lot of these TikTokers, they make great money doing a very narrow, specific thing really well over and over and over. Yeah. Like maybe they're funny, or maybe they do pranks, or maybe they do interviews, or maybe they do whatever. I'm good friends with the School of Hard Knocks guys. They roll up and what a great gig. Mm-hmm. But it is a prison that they put themselves in because, it's a lane that if they tried to go outside that lane, their audience wouldn't follow them.
Right.
A true personal brand is your personality.
Yeah.
Right. Like for me, I don't need the biggest personal brand in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm as raw, as authentic as I've ever been on social media. I show the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between because I don't really care at all about social media. It's more just like, this is an outlet for me. I inspire people. I might piss people off.
Right.
I don't care if you're my customer or not. It's my brand, my personality, and I'm not trying to be the biggest in the world. And I might not be the coolest, but it's my way, and you can't really cancel when you're authentically just you.
Exactly.
You don't have to like be scared. Like if I put out this content, am I going to lose followers, or am I going to, hurt the brand or something like that?
Get canceled.
Yeah.
Right.
And it does feel pretty good. When I started shifting my way I was creating content to be just way more raw and authentic. And I talked about my divorce. I talked about my hair transplant. I talked about, all my problems in my new dating life and all that stuff. More people reached out to me than I ever got DMs doing the, look at me, my Lamborghini, my real estate portfolio. I made a lot of money doing that, but I'm way happier sending off a DM where a guy's like, dude, I'm going through a divorce right now.
Yeah.
Thank you for some of the things you shared. What do you think about this? And we're DM buddies.
Right. And
I'm helping them, through a really tough time. That means more to me than, oh, you downloaded my ebook and bought a course? Like, cool.
Right. Well, you touched on the ultimate thing, which kind of brings us back to the beginning of the conversation, which is you're solving for the wrong thing. Like, money is not correlated with happiness beyond, I think, $70,000 a year, I think is the number. Psychologically not correlated with any degree of happiness. So at some point, if you're only focused on the money and not ever focused on the happiness, you have to sit there and evaluate and go like, okay, well, is money really more important to me than being happy in life? Or like fulfill whatever, happiness is such a difficult term to really nail down, but happiness, meaning, fulfillment, purpose, whatever, like that whole segment of feelings. If that's ultimately what you're solving for, you can't punt that until a later time. Because I'm focused on money right now, so I'll focus on happiness later.
Yeah.
It's like that's not how it works. Like you can't if that's the case, well, then you end up doing things now based on money decisions rather than happiness decisions that you're not going to be able to like go back and fix later on. It just means that you're punting your happiness, which is like, well, why are you doing that? Because that's a bad case scenario.
For me, I never was in the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
Many times I'm not
It's
happy.
elusive.
However, for me, progress equaled happiness.
Yeah.
When I felt like I was doing something and I was making progress in that thing, I felt joy. I was like, wow, I'm making progress with this relationship. I'm making progress in this deal. I'm making progress. Nobody loves the feeling when you're going backwards, right? That's the opposite of happiness, right? That's frustration, anxiety, and fear.
Right.
And so I would just say, look, just because playing guitar and doing guitar lessons makes you happy, you have to make a choice. Do I want to be happy or do I want to make money? Right? And since we're having a money conversation, it's like, if you want to make money, be in a lane that makes money, be in the right money-making vehicle, or be okay just being broke and happy.
Right.
You don't always get both all the time. I've been in many seasons of my life where I'm not super thrilled, but I never felt unhappy. I look at it like business is tough.
Yeah.
It's going to be, there's seasons to it. There's going to be moments where, you're fighting through a deal. You're fighting through a relationship. You're fighting through a project, whatever. And it's just like, it is what it is. The way I look at it is I don't want to be dealing with small problems. I want to be dealing with big fucking problems, because the bigger the problem, the bigger the payday. And if I can take on, like every morning I say a prayer, and part of that prayer is, God, thank you for giving me the strength to take on the biggest problems you could throw at me today.
Yeah.
I bring it. I want them. I invite them into my life, and I am capable of handling them.
Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better.
Yes, exactly. And I know that if I keep pushing myself like that as an entrepreneur, I'm gonna get to a point where, like in my personal life, when something bad happens, I freak out.
Mm-hmm.
But when something bad happens in business, I'm cool as a cucumber for some reason. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
I can control myself very good in business compared to my personal stuff. And I think that's what makes a great entrepreneur great, is they can balance that stuff. Because I promise you this, every new level has a new devil. And it doesn't matter. I've been at a lot of different levels, and I made a lot of different levels of money. Problems just got bigger and heavier, and
they don't go away.
They never go away. And so it's like, I signed up for this. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, to clarify, that's kind of what I meant when I was saying the happiness thing. It's like, the point is that money doesn't really have any contribution to your overall happiness beyond again, if you're living in poverty and you don't have clean water and whatever, that there's some real psychological issues there. But beyond a certain point, it's not going to contribute anymore. So my point is like, if what you're doing right now, if you never feel any sense of inner peace, happiness, joy, like if you hate everything that you're doing, but you're making money, it's like, I'm arguing that like there is a path that allows you to have what you're saying, which is just, there's always ebbs and flows, which is why, the pursuit of happiness is usually an empty one, because in the pursuit of happiness, you probably never find it. Happiness comes as a byproduct of pursuing purpose, probably more than anything else.
Yeah.
But you can sit in that and have moments of happiness and moments of peace and moments of joy that come along with the struggle along the way. But if you're just constantly in the state of like misery and despair in pursuit of just making money, it's like, well, just try a different path then, because it's not going to, just because you clock another $1 million in the bank account, that's not the point where you're just automatically going to be like, oh, I'm happy now.
Never.
It's not how it works. Like, you have to do the inner work along the way. Dude,
I was happier giving my Rolls Royce Mansouri Ghost away to my top sales guy than I was buying it and driving it. Nothing brings me more joy right now. This is my thing that makes me the happiest, is bringing my son with me to a project, to a business networking event, to a speaking event. You've been at times where Hudson's running around, and it's like, I want to give, I don't want to just talk at him. I want him to experience it with me, and I think that's been something I've really ramped up after the divorce, was like, I'm going to do life with my kids, not at my kids or as their dad. I don't need to tell him much. He's going to observe it by just being around these environments. So,
dude, I always appreciate you hanging out and talking. I know whenever I talk with you, you're going to be honest with me, which is it's a lot more rare than it should be. So I very much appreciate the work that you do in the world, as it relates to money, but also as it relates to sharing all the stuff about your personal life and stuff too. It's very, very valuable stuff. So if you are not following Cody, you should be. Not at Clever Investor.
No, I got both. I got at Clever Investors. That's my big real estate. If you're into real estate, that kind of thing, would love to have you over there. But if you want to follow me personally and just like get involved with me interacting with you and stuff, it's at official Cody Sperber, Sperber. And just if you do, say, hey, I heard you on the podcast, shoot me a little DM. Yeah. Love to interact with you.
At official Cody Sperber. Go check out some of the stuff that Cody's working on. Everybody else listening, remember, money only solves your money problems. But it's a little bit easier to solve the rest of your problems if you got some money in the bank. So let's solve that problem first here on Travis Makes Money Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next time. Peace out.